the Super Speedway.
I'm gonna beat your ass. You're a lap down, you got nothing to do. Why are you running right into me? Second time.
No,
I don't give a damn.
I know.
I don't give a damn. I'm gonna be trapped. We're gonna get back in the state.
Welcome to episode 365 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. Good old Ricky Carmichael, Ricky Stenhouse, giving us some good audio for the start of the podcast.
Oh man, my favorite part was the "I know" right at the end.
I know,
when he tells me he's going to beat him, he's going to beat that ass in the States, and I know. Oh man, that was too funny, man.
Good stuff.
I know, I loved it.
And
that was great.
You know, Hocevar he blatantly screwed up. He wasn't, certainly if there was anybody who was trying not to hit, it's probably Stenhouse. But that's just how it works, right?
Just wasn't trying hard enough. Oops.
Yep.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that was great. We needed something from that race to kind of take away, and well done.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yep. Thanks to Carson Hocevar for giving us a talking point once again.
And he gave it, yeah, well, he's given us a bunch on this podcast we'll get into. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. Well,
it's always something.
It's been a week, James. It's been a week.
It has.
You might as well have left the country.
Pretty close. Close as I could get.
You went to the land of the mouse.
Yeah.
We were supposed to record
house.
yesterday, and I apparently came down with whatever SVG had, and I didn't win a race yesterday, so. So here we are.
You and half the garage.
Yeah.
They lots of people battling sickness this week.
Right.
We had sickness on our vacation. So.
Yeah. Going around.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
it's definitely going or something.
So I'm about 75% tonight, but we'll power through. We'll make it work. We'll make it happen.
Well, you got me at 100%. I was even talking to you before we started recording. I was bragging about how it ain't even hot here, and it's 92 degrees.
Right.
I felt real heat. I think, for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
Florida in June. What an idiot.
Well,
Who goes
yeah.
to Florida in June?
What sort of dumbass? Was it like empty? Was there like nobody there because nobody else?
No,
is dumb
it was
enough to do
busy.
that?
Oh no, it was
My
busy.
God.
It was busy. Here's the thing too. I'm gonna just, you know what? If you allow me to be,
Yeah,
if
go
you
ahead.
allow me to be, I'm gonna be mean for a second.
Well,
And
Just be careful. You don't want to get
yeah,
fined.
screw it. You know what? Screw it. The people who were walking around Walt Disney World this week, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, that sounds even worse than I thought it would. I just thought, how are you people able to make it in this heat? and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them who can't. I was like, how am I supposed to make it through this heat? But I saw some stuff, Eric. It was some of the best people watching I think I've ever seen.
There.
I saw more knee braces on than an entire NBA, an entire roster of NBA teams across the league. It was knee braces everywhere. Really good.
There is not really much that I would want to do less than go to Disney in June. Honestly, there's not much I'd want to do less than go to Disney.
Don't recommend it. I highly do not recommend going in June. Now I know I'm never going again. That's the other caveat to this. Yeah. As I was leaving the park, my daughter, I said, "Hey, take one last look at the castle. You're heading home. This is our last time here." And she was looking at it, and I said, "Yeah, really got to soak it in, because by the time you come back here, you're going to be older than me. So really, really enjoy it."
Oh man.
I was on my best behavior though.
Take it all in, dear. This is the last time you'll ever see it.
My wife even commented tonight. I'm gonna throw her under the bus real quick too. I'm on one. Post vacation me is my best me. My wife even said to me tonight, she looked at me and goes, "What happened to the guy who was on vacation with us?" And I said, "I don't know. He's gone."
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. I'm a curmudgeon most of the time. I was actually really good. I behaved myself at Disney really well. Scared the crap out of my kids a few times on some rides. It was good.
Nice.
Yeah, I had a good vacation. Not bad at all.
Well, good.
But, man, some of the things I saw. Holy crap. Definitely, when you go to the racetrack, you see a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're well known for that.
Yes.
I tell you what, it's comparable to being at the track.
Nice.
Good stuff, though. Yep.
Well, good deal.
Yep. That's my vacation in a nutshell.
Well, NASCAR had an eventful weekend as well. First time ever. First time in forever. First time in the modern era outside of the country with the Cup Series race. The Viva Mexico 250 in Mexico City. SVG. Finally, James. He finally got another win.
He got another win. Yeah, when we go to a road course for the first time and he shows up, it's pretty much bad. Everybody else is going for second place.
Yeah, you can see there is certainly a lot of talent in our series, but he has something special that while everybody can catch up to him, they are at a deficit when they've not seen the place as has he. So
yes.
16-second win. I mean, this wasn't even a question that he was going to win this race pretty much.
He's just so smooth and flawless. Like he doesn't make mistakes. He just cruises when he is.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was faster in the wet or faster in the dry, because in the wet he was pulling away from him too. So, and he doesn't like the wet, he says.
Yep.
So
yeah. No, but he's just got a. And I know his background is very similar to what we drive now,
right.
what the guys drive now. But man, he just doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't let himself get into those spaces. Now, like last year at Watkins Glen when he's battling Chris Buescher, that's different. You know, Buescher's got has many more laps at Watkins Glen than SVG does. And is able to kind of take advantage of them in certain spots, especially the bus stop. But you watch on Sunday, and like Ty Gibbs was good all day, but it was a different class of field for for SVG, just crushing them all the way around.
Yeah,
great performance.
All he pretty much had to do was miss the Kyle Busch wrecking ball in the beginning, and he managed to avoid that, and that was it.
But that was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, no kidding, man. That looked pretty amateur, really.
It was bad, and then Larson wiped out, and Allmendinger, and I mean, it was.
He ruined a lot of days in that little slide.
Yeah, I mean, I know the race was because and I was watching. I was actually on the plane home, watching the race.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, they're gonna start this race. It's not wet. That's cool. And then first lap, bang! Here's the rain. Everybody's got to take it in. So, then it got really interesting because I wasn't sure how interesting this race was going to be, but that first stint was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Watching those guys kind of, and then they had like the Cindrics out there, still on their slicks. There was a lot of strategy. I love when the road courses get a little bit damp.
Well, that's the thing. This is the perfect situation when you have a race that's wet and dry. If it's wet all the way through, it's not fun. But that whole process of having to decide when to switch and when to switch back if you have to, it's super interesting.
Yeah, there's so much strategy involved because you got guys who will gamble on track position. And we've seen Cindric in the past be really good on slicks in the wet. And like to the point where I've been amazed by like his work at Road America. Or not, was it? No, it wasn't Road America. It was Circuit of the Americas. Where he raced in the slicks and was like beating everybody down. I was like, wow, Cindric, that was amazing. And then, you see it on Sunday and, there was a couple of teams that said, yeah, sorry guys. We kind of messed up the call here. I think Buescher's team said they messed up, their strategy a little bit, but it is really cool. Like you said, Eric, though, when you've got a wet racetrack, you've got guys who are making really good time and all of a sudden, that wetness starts to dry up a little bit and those tires start to chunk and they start to really fall off those treaded tires, and you've got to make a decision on if you're gonna try to stretch it, you got to pit, and then the guys on the slicks, maybe they have an opportunity to make up some ground. Although, by that time everybody was kind of on equal ground. So, but really cool. I love that. I loved it at New Hampshire last year too, where we had that race where it was wet a little bit.
Yep.
Got dry and just kind of mixed things up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you ready to talk about it, James? Let's talk about the playoffs because
that was a big storyline out of this one, wasn't it?
Everybody's talking about the playoffs. SVG was 33rd going into this race. He's 30th now, but he's in the playoffs with a win.
Yep.
What are let me just start. Instead of throwing it right to you, let me just say that
Go for it, man. Go. What do you got?
I will admit that it seems a little crappy. Like, it seems a little wrong. But
yeah,
this is the system. And that's it. That's the system that we have right now. And there are certainly aspects of this system that are similar to other systems in other sports. I don't know. I mean, let's put it this way. Does SVG even have a career in the Cup Series if not for the system we have? Because he's not going to go compete for a championship on ovals. He's just not. But he can get in the playoffs and get in the top 16 in points based on a road course win.
We call that in the business ROI.
Yep, exactly.
You have Shane Van Gisbergen in a seat. You have a return on investment because you know that there's a really good chance you're going to get one of those 16 seeds and you're going to bump up in the pay bracket.
Yep.
So, and also he comes with sponsorship, which also helps. But also, end of the season points money is super valuable. So yes, that's why SVG's in this deal. That's why AJ Allmendinger has a job still.
Yep.
Handful of guys are in the sport because we have road courses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're right, though. I mean, you said it best. It's the system we have. And I hate that. I hate that that's kind of like the winning part of the argument. It's like, well, yeah, this is the system everybody agreed on, but it is. This is what every team has agreed on. And this is how teams have built their rosters.
Right.
So you change it, you can't change it now. You're stuck with it for this season. You've got contracts in place, and yeah, if road courses weren't a bigger part of the schedule, then yeah, maybe SVG doesn't have a spot. But right now, he's a super valuable piece, and he's a race winner, and now he gets a playoff spot, which I think you saw you saw what I said on Twitter.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, please say it, James, because your tweet was perfect. It was exactly perfect. So
people are complaining about Shane Van Gisbergen competing for a championship, and I think we should definitely be careful there. Just because you're in the playoffs doesn't mean you're a championship contender.
Right.
Obviously, there are odds that you could win a championship, but was Harrison Burton a championship contender last year?
Right.
Not one bit. I mean, the slimmest percent that you can hand somebody. Infinity plus 1% maybe.
Yeah, and with 16 cars, and there's always a couple that aren't championship contenders.
Exactly, but that is sports, and that is playoffs in sports. Eric, you watch hockey. Hockey's probably the most, hockey and baseball, right? Hockey and baseball are the most wide open of all the sports.
Right.
If you make the playoffs in the NHL, and you make it at the right time. What do they always say about the NHL playoffs? You get hot at the right time and you're in the dance, right?
Yep.
I mean, we have a team competing in the Stanley Cup final right now, the Florida Panthers. And a couple years ago, before they became a juggernaut, they were an 8th seed. They were a bottom seeded team that made a run and got hot. And now they've become contenders over the last couple of seasons. They are real contenders now. I know they lost that first cup, but they've been pretty darn good ever since. But if you look at 8 seeds and really low seeds and all other forms of sports, I mean, yeah, they got a ticket to the show, but their ticket to the show is very far back, standing room only. Like you're in the building. Congratulations, you're in the building. Like I can buy a ticket to Little Caesars Arena, but they're not putting a uniform on me to play in the game. That's how far back. That's how far I think Shane Van Gisbergen is from a championship. That is a lot of distance there.
We don't have to worry about any playoffs in the Little Caesars Arena, at least on the hockey side for a while. But
not for the hockey side. The Pistons are pretty good though.
Yeah,
Pretty good. Yeah.
I notice I had to preface it. I don't watch basketball,
you did good.
but I know.
I know.
I
appreciate it. Look, I talked hockey and you talked a little bit of basketball.
Right.
I know.
The world is crashing, crumbling.
We are flipping complete 180s here.
It does it feel a little icky? Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. It does.
But, everybody wants, the argument is tradition. We need to keep tradition. We need to do, but the thing with tradition is tradition just means that's the way we've always done it. It doesn't mean it's the right way. Right. And NASCAR fans told NASCAR that they wanted a bigger emphasis on winning. And there is no bigger emphasis on winning than what we have.
Yep.
I think it's the best of both worlds because you still do get your point standings throughout the season, and then you get the playoffs at the end. So I think maybe the biggest issue I have with it is I don't think that there's enough emphasis on the regular season championship. Maybe there should be more emphasis on that. But then again, how do you put that into statistics when you have 3 7-time champions? Well, you're not going to have somebody win the regular season championship 7 times and go, well, they're equal to Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty, right? I mean, so
right.
I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things that times have changed, and this is the system we've got. And good on SVG for capitalizing on it. Good on Trackhouse for capitalizing on it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now, I know we've talked about this a million times.
Yeah.
I do think there should be a point cutoff, but again, that's not the rule for this year. That's not the.
Well, we all liked the point cutoff until Corey LaJoie almost won Atlanta and would have not made the playoffs because he wasn't at the cut line. And then suddenly everybody started saying, wait a minute, why do we have a cut line? And then they got rid of it.
Yeah, I know.
And now we're saying, there should be one.
But
I mean, Shane's
overcomplicates.
Shane's at the cut line right now. So,
well, and the problem too is Shane, I don't think he'll win again this year. I mean, Chicago's Street is coming
his
up.
Best chance.
Yeah, maybe but again, like all of a sudden he wins Chicago, right? Which he can do. I think he'll probably be the favorite.
Oh yeah, he'll be a major contender there.
We have a ton of other
he only got taken out last year because he got wrecked. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, and him and Larson had a whole thing going on all weekend that we didn't get to see, which was a bummer.
Right.
So yeah, let's just best case scenario for him. He wins Chicago, he wins Sonoma, he wins Watkins Glen. Like all of a sudden, maybe he's got 4 wins. And he's leading the series in win total. That's not that far of a possibility. Now you're talking about something a little bit different. Because he's racking up a bunch of wins and he's in a different kind of bracket of the dance.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
From a strategy standpoint, if you're Trackhouse and Shane Van Gisbergen, do you now play the rest of the road course races to try and get playoff points at the stages? Let everybody else race to try to flip the stage, and you just take every playoff point you can get. Because if you can get enough of those to get you out of the first round of the playoffs, now you've just cranked up your payday even better.
I would say that is definitely a strategy. I think for them though,
they're going to go for wins.
They're probably just going to go all out for wins and whatever. They don't have to play by any sort of rules that the other teams do. They can really kind of get a feel for the race. Like if there's a stage point that's easy to go get, a playoff point that's easy to go get it.
Right.
But don't let it affect your chance at getting the big prize, because once you start racking up more wins, you start sliding up the board. I mean, he's already, if you look at the playoff seeding, he's ahead of Ross.
Yeah.
He's got more playoff points than Ross. So he's already, you know, up a spot there. So so he's going to have opportunity to really gamble. And I think for them, you're so far down in points. Points don't even matter now. You can gamble everywhere. You can gamble at the ovals. Maybe that's where you try to steal stage wins.
Right.
You know, you go to the ovals. Maybe you got a I don't know what's one. Well, Pocono's coming up, right?
Yeah.
Maybe pit strategy gets a little weird at Pocono because it kind of pits like a road course. You know, maybe there's a point to be had, and you just kind of, you know, get a stage win here, get a stage win there. Maybe that's the strategy. It's going to be interesting to watch because they're going to have that opportunity now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Steal 'em.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
Hey,
I love that you brought that up. I didn't even think about that, and now I'm going to be watching for it every week.
It's
to see how he does it.
It's a storyline we wouldn't have if we didn't have this system. So
Yeah, and again, like you said, Eric, it's the rules we have, and hey, let's see what we can do with it. You know,
Yep.
There's going to be some cool things that come out of it. I know the diehards don't like to hear that, and I don't like it as
tough.
well, but it is what it is. Yeah.
I heard plenty from the diehards this week that I really don't care what they have to say on some things. So just saying.
The eggs,
Little
Twitter eggs out there.
Yeah, I know. We'll tease the black flag. There you go.
Yeah, we got good black flags.
All right. We discussed Carson and Ricky. Is there more to discuss than what we already discussed?
Yeah. Are we going to see any action this weekend?
Not at Pocono. I mean, not on track for sure.
I mean, we did have a famous Pocono scuffle a few years back. Do you remember the Robbie Gordon versus David Stremme scrap?
Vaguely.
Do you recall this? Long story short, they kept banging into each other on the racetrack and both got 5-lap penalties and just had to sit there because they just wouldn't knock it off. So it has happened at Pocono before.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Well, we had, who was it? Harvick and...
Oh my God, yeah. Harvick and Logano had
Yeah, that's
one.
what it was,
Harvick
yep.
and... Yep.
Yeah, this was where the She Wears the Fire Suit came from.
Harvick and Kenseth here.
Yep.
They didn't Kenseth... So Harvick wrecked Kenseth.
Kenseth's had a lot of run-ins when you think about it.
Yeah, well, Kenseth spun Harvick under the caution, which
Yep.
got him in big trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he has a precedent that he's set over the years.
Denny Hamlin skipped the race. Dad duties on Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, got his waiver as well.
I'm sure he wasn't terribly disappointed to skip Mexico, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't think most of the industry was super excited about going.
Do you want me to do reckless speculation?
Sure.
Is he using it as an excuse just to not go?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Again, reckless speculation.
Yeah.
Just reckless. Yeah.
I mean, if there was a race you were going to miss, the one that most of the drivers probably didn't want to go to would be the one to miss.
And he knew he was getting that waiver before he skipped it. That waiver got approved so quickly.
Right?
I have never seen. Have we ever seen a waiver get approved that fast?
I don't know.
It was within hours.
Larson was certainly saying, "What the hell, man?"
Well, yeah, yeah. You guys marketed the crap out of everything I was doing, then you wouldn't give me a waiver.
Right.
Yep. I remember that fondly. Jeff and Jordan got in a big old fight about that for a few weeks.
And then they changed the rules.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't do that again.
You mentioned Ty Gibbs. I would have really liked to see what would have happened if they didn't completely botch that. What the hell were they doing going an extra lap?
I don't know.
Why would you put yourself, you're in such a vulnerable situation by staying out there when all your competitors have pitted?
That's a team that hasn't gotten it done.
My
and
God.
That's part of the reason why.
What a
They haven't
bad
gotten it done.
decision.
He was fast enough though. That kid can wheel it on a road course.
Let's put it this way. It would have been a lot closer battle than 16 seconds.
Yeah, maybe it would have been 5.
Yeah. I still think Shane would have won it.
Yeah. Ty was really good though, man.
Really
it was
good.
really good to see. 2 weeks in a row he's had a good showing now. So he doesn't have the finish to go with it, but he led a bunch of laps and
Yeah.
didn't get the stage points either, but again, he was that's another team that just has to go find a win somewhere somehow.
Yep.
It's coming. It might be coming. I don't know. He's on the right trajectory.
And you've
now.
got road courses coming. We know he's good at road courses.
Yeah,
So
and Pocono might be a decent run for him. So we'll see.
yeah. NASCAR's hopeful to return to Mexico City. There's no official deal inked. What do you think? I think we're going back, right?
I'm like 50-50.
Yeah.
Ben Kennedy, when he was on the Teardown, didn't even really hint at it. Said he'd like to come back, but nothing really there. So
interesting.
I don't know. Do you think they're coming back?
I would think you would. I will say though, and I mean, I don't know what the capacity of that place is, but I'm sure. I mean, there were a lot of people there, but if they would have like sold the place out, that sort of thing, then yeah, it would be like a no brainer. But I don't think it certainly didn't get the crowd that a Formula One gets there. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that plays into it. I feel like they had really good crowds when the Xfinity Series raced there 20 years ago, but of course it was a different world back then too.
Yep.
So, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, anymore, you just don't know what NASCAR is doing. I would assume at this point in the season that we'd have a pretty good idea whether we're going back next year.
Yeah.
Because we're halfway through the season, just about.
Yeah, usually the schedule comes out around August-ish, right?
Yeah, it's been later and later. I think we've been seeing it in September lately.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of movement on the calendars lately too, so
right.
That's been delaying it a little bit more and more. It did seem like it was a little bit of a logistical nightmare.
Yeah. There were a lot of issues, but the sounds of things were that those issues were NASCAR's planning more so than anything.
Is not surprising.
No, I mean, especially first time doing it.
Yep.
We said last week that, I mean, you really couldn't have scheduled much further tracks to bookmark this or to bookend this event.
They really screwed that up.
I mean, come on.
They really should have bookended this with a bye week on both sides of it, honestly.
Yeah, or
Texas.
You start in Texas and you have a bye week after.
Yeah, or you go from Texas, or you go from maybe like Phoenix, Mexico City, Texas, like it's a southwestern swing. I don't know.
Well, that would be tough though too, because then you're going to send haulers across the country because they need the cars.
Well, yeah, that's the other problem is you have to get through customs like twice.
Yeah.
And I really think they should have given these teams more. I mean, we would have all been fine with a bye week, at least one bye week to make it happen. You know,
yeah, and I mean,
teams would have had a little less pressure on them.
There were teams that didn't. I mean, they had to change the schedule because Xfinity teams weren't there.
Right.
You know, so
guys couldn't get on the airplane. SVG barely made it.
Yeah.
Down too. He was having. Well, he had a bunch of other issues. We didn't even mention he was battling a bug.
Yep.
Lots of drivers were battling a bug. Ryan Blaney.
Yeah.
On that list.
Well, Gregson tweeted something about it before the race, and then afterwards said he was joking. So. I don't know how much of that was legit. And I think there was a lot of that stuff. Yeah. That people were making jokes and stuff too. And
did Blaney say he needed to wear a black fire suit?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, what do you think? Success? Was it a good race, James? What do you think?
This car's not good on road courses, so it looked like a NASCAR road course race.
I was entertained. I mean, yeah, SVG ran away with it at the end, but I still thought it was an entertaining race. It had me captivated.
I was forced to watch on my phone, so I was not getting the like experience I would prefer to be like in front of my TV and really kind of watching it without distraction. I was traveling home, so it was on, like I had the race on screen, which is one of the best things about Prime is you just throw that bad boy on. And it's right there. And they have the rapid recap. So if you have to stop.
I haven't done the rapid recap, but the fact that they have that available is just great.
Yeah.
And it's great. And the fact that they let you start over from the beginning. I mean, that's such a minor thing, but so many streaming services don't allow you to do that. And
the best part about it too is like I was on airplane Wi-Fi. So not great. Yeah, it wasn't great. But what I could do was I could pause, and I was watching the stupid F1 race at the same time on the screen in front of me there. So I was like multi-screening. But then I could kind of play the NASCAR race and let it
buffer.
Let it buffer a little bit. So that worked out well enough for me. And then once I got off the plane, I was just on data, so it was fine.
Nice.
So that's how my experience was. I did finish watching the race in front of a TV though by the time we made it back to my in-laws. So, but coverage was good. I mean, Prime's done a great job. The race presented well.
They're so good.
The stadium is really, really cool. Like
Yeah.
that is like a really cool feature, and I've always thought that from F1, playing the video game. Even you drive into that stadium, it's always one of the coolest sights in racing, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's really neat.
So it's kind of iconic.
The fact that they call it the stadium section at COTA is just silly compared to what Mexico City
that's
has.
amazing. No, it's an amazing piece. I would love to see NASCAR have some sort of a funnel like that in other places where maybe they could try it somewhere.
Yeah.
Down the road in the future. I know we've raced at the Coliseum, so there's we've actually raced in an arena before, but
Right.
there's just something about this one because it's kind of a high speed entrance, and then you've got really hard braking and passing zones right there, which is really cool.
One thing I noticed too is the size. This is something only I would notice, but the size of the television screens they had everywhere.
Yes, Jeff talked about that.
I mean,
yes.
there was like we just came from Michigan where they had the
we
tiniest screens.
We were laughing about it in the press box.
And they had massive screens everywhere for the fans at Mexico City. It was so nice.
When we were at Michigan, I pointed that screen out to you. That's on the bottom of the scoreboard. I'm like, what the hell is that? Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, that's.
They had a big press release and a big deal about that when they first put it in. Like it was a huge thing.
It's terrible.
You can't even see it unless you're right underneath it.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Really dumb.
Yeah. Not only that, but like you can't even where the scoreboard is positioned. If you're on the ground, you can't see it. Like there's nowhere you can see it from.
I know.
It's so stupid.
How Michigan doesn't have a big hoss is beyond me. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah.
That place needs an investment right now. But we're on a tangent.
That's a story. I noticed that, and that's probably a story for another day. But yes, I agree with you there 100% as well.
Yeah. Man, I would love to see Michigan be the one that they're doing the super speedway treatment to. Oh, that'd be awesome.
I don't know if I agree with you on that.
I love super speedways, James. I've always wanted it to be a super speedway.
I know I think we've got enough.
I know, but I love them. Anyway,
got the Frankenstein monster.
I just want to be able to go to one every year. That's my only thing.
I understand. Yes, I got you. Yep, right in our backyard would be fun.
Yeah. Chase Briscoe had a strong day. 7th place finish. Cole Custer finished 8th. Good run for him. Alex Bowman, 4th place finish.
Yeah, I was gonna say Alex Bowman on a beaten and battered body is pretty impressive.
And he was strong all day. Just faded at the end. Just didn't have it at the end. Wore the back tires off of it. Bubba Wallace, 12th place finish.
Yep.
Yeah, John Hunter, 6th place. Damn.
Yep. Bubba Wallace is a pretty good road racer now.
Yeah.
You mentioned him. He's just solid now.
Yep. You're not expecting him to win, but top 10's plausible. Very plausible.
Yep. I thought another one that I was caught my eye a few times was Eric Jones. I know he finished 17th, probably not where he wanted to finish, but he actually had some speed that I was like, wow, Eric Jones is probably top 10 capable, and had some good stage finish, especially stage 1. I was like, oh man, Eric Jones showing up here a little bit, but it wasn't meant to be.
Daniel Suarez didn't lead a lap, but did lead a little bit in this race, and then I think Ty Gibbs passed him going into the stadium section.
Yeah.
Nothing like sticking it to him.
Yeah, he didn't have the car all weekend.
No, not in this
Probably
one.
An opportunity that got away from him, I would think, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So, let's see here. Let me scroll to the right spot on my sheet here. Second victory in 30 Cup Series races for Shane Van Gisbergen. He was also the highest finishing rookie in the race. William Byron is points leader, 67 points over Kyle Larson in the Cup Series.
One of my favorite moments, speaking of Kyle Larson, was when he went out and got the fast lap.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
That was great. Like, that's the first time that fastest lap has meant anything.
Yeah, he's asked about it. Like, go for it, man. A broken and battered car, he went and got it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's great. Nice to see somebody using that for strategy. And, I mean, look what 1 point did for him last year. Or did it
you never
against
know,
him,
man.
You know?
A point can matter down the road.
Yep.
You never know.
Yep.
Let's
put it this way. Points don't matter at this point in the season, but they sure as hell matter when it comes to playoff time.
When you got a short playoff window, they matter.
Yep.
Absolutely. Catherine Legg was solid. Didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Got lapped eventually.
Forgot she was there, so that's perfect.
Uh-huh. Yep. But she did get lapped, I think, right at the end.
You know what Catherine Legg didn't do?
Didn't cause any issues.
She didn't lock up her brakes in the wet and crash through Kyle Larson and multiple other cars.
Nope, she did not do that.
So
she did not do that.
everybody wants to give Catherine Legg some crap. Let's get on Kyle a little bit.
Catherine Legg legitimately beat Ty Dillon, Carson Hocevar, Zane Smith, and the Kyles. So
she beat Carson Hocevar like Ricky Stenhouse is going to do.
Is going to do.
Yep. Good
That's
stuff.
a great clip of audio. I love Ricky Stenhouse now.
Yeah.
He used to really like get on my nerves, but man, he's a lot of fun now.
No, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
He's
just something.
NASCAR Xfinity Series was in action the day before. The Chilango 150. And speaking of Daniel Suarez, he gets probably one of the biggest wins of his career in front of the home crowd. Very big deal. Led 19 laps in the race. Came from the back to do it after wrecking in practice qualifying. Great run for Daniel in this thing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Started dead last.
Yep.
Got a provisional to make the start, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he didn't qualify.
Yep. So, man, yeah, backup car with no paint job.
Right.
And then just an epic battle at the end. The last restart, like that last stint, was just unbelievable. He was duking out Taylor Gray. I mean, that was a really good drive by Taylor Gray. Maybe had a chance to dump him if he wanted to.
Yeah,
and
he
said he didn't.
He
didn't want to do it that way.
Yeah, he could have dove in on that last turn and got him. But man, can you imagine? He would have had to have security to get out of there.
You know what? As much of an issue as this series has had of recent, recently, I should say, pretty recently, the fact that Taylor Gray did not do that, I have a little bit more respect for him.
Yeah,
for doing it the right way. So good for him.
I think this was Connor Zilich's race to win.
Probably.
Unfortunately, Connor Zilich got beat by inexperience.
Yep, and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
And inexperience and Ty Gibbs.
Ty Gibbs
say
too.
that.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs too.
Ty Gibbs raced this race as you expect Ty Gibbs to do. Drove just a little bit over his head, expecting to be able to win here.
Yeah, and Ty Gibbs does not care.
It's funny, when you put Ty Gibbs in a Cup car, he drives with a sane head. But when you put him in an Xfinity car, he drives like he's just over the edge.
Yep.
It's balls to the walls the whole time, and he does stuff like he did in this race.
He just rips.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I remember you and I had a conversation. I'm not sure. It was this year at some point, but we were talking about Connor Zilich and how like he's been on a rocket ship. He's obviously really, really talented.
Right.
And it's like, at some point, these really fast young guys, they get reality checked.
Yep.
And I think he's in that area at this current moment. He's
I think so.
little bit going through a little bit of a reality check.
Yep.
That's the first like initial feeling I had after seeing how that race kind of came and went for him. But he's still just ultimately super talented, and love watching him kind of maneuver out there and do what he does. He's just a great race car driver.
Yeah, he is for sure. Definitely a little bit of calamity in this one, as expected in the Xfinity Series, but it wasn't too bad. Decent race here. I wanted to look at, I'm just trying to load here. Should have been prepared for this. So Austin Green, I wanted to call him out. Gets
what are we trying to see?
It's top 7th place finish in this one. It's run very few races, but he's performed well on these road courses. And this is his 4th race of this season.
Jordan Anderson car.
Yep, top 10 finish for him. So cool to see him. He's popped up here and there in these road course races before. So I just wanted to give him a shout out for getting in the top 10, getting a solid 7th place finish in this one. Christian Eckes looked good in this race too. Austin Hill, one of those guys again that you don't go like. I mean, Austin Hill is like good everywhere in the Xfinity car, and it's just you see him as a super speedway guy, but he's really good anywhere.
He is.
But do you think Austin Hill's ready for Cup?
That's funny. It's like I don't know what else he needs to do in the Xfinity Series.
But honestly. I don't see him. The problem is if he goes to Cup, he can't go with RCR. If he goes to RCR, he's just going to be drowned out. And
there's no room.
There's
no room for these guys.
Yeah, I don't know where he'd go.
Yeah.
Unless it's
I
colleague.
He's going to have to wait another year. That's the problem. He's going to have.
How many years is he going to wait before his chance is gone?
Like Connor Zilic, right? He's going up, and I think he's going up sooner rather than later.
I agree.
I know Daniel Suarez had a really fantastic weekend and was a generous host. I don't think he's long for that seat. With Zilic lurking.
So, the other two aren't going anywhere. You would imagine.
You're not getting rid of Ross, and unless SVG doesn't want to do it anymore, which is, I guess, possible.
Yeah, I think Shane's got a couple more years there.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a spot for Connor, but again, there's not spot for Austin Hill.
Right.
Unless Austin Dillon hangs it up.
Yep.
But,
yeah.
Again, like you said, what's an RCR car doing for you?
Right. Exactly. I don't think he's good enough to shine in that equipment. He needs to go somewhere with better equipment, and I just don't think the opportunity's there.
It's funny is he's, like you said, he's like really good everywhere. He's almost kind of like what Ty Gibbs was down there. And we all thought a lot higher of Ty Gibbs than we do of Austin Hill.
Right. It's funny. And I don't know what it is about him that we...
I think it's his age, too. He's a little older.
And not only that, but I guess RCR is pretty good in the Xfinity series, so that's not really
Yeah, that's another part of it, too. Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's funny that we view him so differently than some of the other drivers that have done similar things.
Yep.
So, fourth victory in 89 Xfinity Series races for Daniel Suarez. Taylor Gray, second place, was your highest finishing rookie, and Justin Allgaier's points leader, 54 points over Austin Hill. News. James, we got some news items this week. Not a whole lot. Yeah. It's early in the week, and everybody's, the haulers literally just got back from Mexico. So
it's crazy.
The Iowa Cup race, grandstands are sold out once again. Yeah, that's cool. There's not a lot of grandstand seats, so it should be.
It's all right.
But
it's fine.
Hey, 2 years in a row, sold out. So
Iowa shows up.
Yep.
Let's keep selling them.
And it sounds like their sponsorship deal is a multi-year agreement. So I'm assuming we're going to be back here for several years to come. So
good.
It's a good track.
Awesome.
Good track. So
love that place. Yeah, love that place so far. I am all for. I want to keep short tracks on the schedule, and Iowa's a good one.
Yeah. I agree.
I know we're dealing with short track issues, but it's still a good one.
Well, Iowa's a short track, almost like Phoenix is a short track. It's barely a short track. It is, but it's not quite. And that might be perfect. That might be the perfect short track for this car. So.
Yep.
You take the next one, James, because I don't know much about this.
So. Oh yeah, this is a short and sweet one. There's this really popular podcast called Pablo Torre Finds Out. It's actually more famous for a story it's doing on Bill Belichick and his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it's kind of gone viral for that, like, this very silly story. But they also cover very serious topics when they're not doing silly things. And Lina Khan, who was the former chair of the Federal Trade Commission under President Biden. And was recently, I guess, taken out of that seat, came on the episode. And somebody who's kind of familiar with politics and also law in this country, they were going over just a bunch of different topics, and I did not expect to hear anything about NASCAR. And, of course, this came up that Michael Jordan is involved in this monopoly lawsuit with NASCAR. And they cover it very quickly. I highly recommend you go out and just listen to it maybe for a few minutes. There's actually some clips on the social media. Maybe I'll find one and retweet it, so you don't have to listen to the whole episode. But in a 3-minute blurb, I learned more about what is going on with this lawsuit from Michael Jordan's perspective than I had trying to crack the code following Bob and
Nice.
anybody else who's reporting it. So I just thought it was interesting that it was on this really kind of more mainstream podcast, and they talked about the lawsuit a little bit. So
Interesting.
obviously there's been some lawsuit news today.
Yeah, I'm not. You can dive into it if you want.
I don't want to dive into it.
There's not much
too
that
complicated.
It's over my head at this point, and at this point it's just
too complicated.
Somebody tweeted today in the comments on, I think, Bob's post. They said, "This is getting ugly," and I said, "No, it's not.
Nobody knows anything.
This is the legal system. This is how it works. It's not ugly. It's just that's what happens."
Yeah.
So it's just this whole thing takes forever to play out.
Yep.
And just covering every single hearing, especially for a podcast like us, just doesn't make any sense. So we'll touch on it when important stuff happens. Otherwise, we're just gonna move on from it. So
yeah. So anyway, that was just a quick thing. Actually, I found it on Twitter. I'm gonna hit retweet. So if you follow me at James Cush on Twitter, it's right there.
Perfect.
So
awesome.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Again, it's just I'm not go watch the clip. I don't have to do the whole spiel, but yeah, I learned a little bit. Learned a little bit more about the perspective from the 2311 side. So, and front row side. I know they get left out of these conversations.
Right.
When the media scrum happens, nobody runs over to front row.
Right.
I'll run over to Denny.
Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah. And then we had some news break right before we started podcasting. Spire Motorsports has fined Carson Hocevar $50,000 for comments he made on a live stream about Mexico City. We don't need to get in the comments specifically, but
he said something that wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
About Mexico City, and now he's got a $50,000 fine, and he's going to take some classes on sensitivity.
Good.
So,
good.
As he should.
Yeah.
As he should.
I mean, Carson's done some dumb things, said some dumb things lately, and done some dumb things, and he's a kid. He's learning. I forgive him, but
he's on the right track in a lot of ways. Performance wise being one of them, but he's just got to reel in some of the, like, you're not that funny, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
You just go be a race car driver. And I know his personality is a big part of what
the thing is I worry that stuff like this is going to
put
the muzzle on him. I don't want the muzzle on him, because right now he's so open. He does these live streams where he races and chats with everybody and stuff, and I don't want to lose that. But ask Kyle Larson. I guess Kyle Larson benefited in the end, but there's
Kyle
certain
Larson's
things
one.
You just don't. You got to be careful what you're saying. You're in front
Noah
of a crowd.
Gragson also, just watch what you're doing and be just a little bit more careful with what you say. Still be you, but just don't. You don't have to insult the. I don't know. You just don't have to do it that way, I guess, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Well, let me take this opportunity, because we're going to move into it here in a second anyway, because it's that time of the podcast. But I want to get into my black flag, because this is the perfect time to do it. There was so much showing of ignorance among the NASCAR community this weekend, and it frustrates me to no end, the stuff that was said about Mexico City. Carson's an example of that. Tab Boyd, you said his Twitter account's gone now.
His Twitter account is deleted at the current moment. It's not there.
He was complaining about Mexico City on Twitter. There were so many fans that were complaining about it and talking bad about it. And I just want to reference Jenna Fryer tweeted out just a few minutes ago. She says, "Stop tweeting to me your negative opinions about Mexico City. It's one of the most popular F1 stops every year for nearly a decade because it's a cosmopolitan city with some of the top restaurants in the world. Stop embarrassing NASCAR." She adds that she'd like to add Colton Herta's spotter dodged gunfire in St. Louis at Gateway this weekend. So it's this stuff has got to stop. We look so ignorant when anything like this happens. And again, it's the good old boys. It's the old time fan that hasn't realized that it's not 1970 anymore. We got to get out of this. The Bubba Wallace stuff, the Confederate flag stuff, all this stuff. Stop looking so damn ignorant and making the sport look bad.
That is very well said.
It's so frustrating. And James, all you had to do was watch the videos of people swarming freaking Todd Gilliland for autographs.
Yep.
This isn't even one of our stars. This is somebody that barely has a ride, and he's getting swarmed. Like, come on.
I think what happens, and especially in the NASCAR space specifically, we are so enamored with what we used to have. And Eric, you and I know it as much as anybody. What we used to have was really, really great. Yep. I mean, we lived in a special time. Marty Smith says that, in the early 2000s, NASCAR had a rocket ship on its ass. Yeah. And that is a fact in this country. And we are so stuck in what we were that we can't even let new people enjoy it without getting nasty about it.
Right. We want our sport to grow, but we're pissed off because we're taking it to another country.
And that's like, what's there's a lot of things I don't like about F1. But what's great about F1 right now is like there's these new fans who don't really know what they're watching. They don't know what they missed. They're just really excited about something that they kind of stumbled into on Netflix, and now they're watching racing.
Yeah,
which is great.
Wait till this movie comes out.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see that in theaters, dude. I am. First of all, I have season tickets for Brad Pitt movies.
Yeah,
always.
I think it's gonna be huge, and it's gonna be another boon for that sport.
It's gonna help. Yeah, it's gonna help F1, and I know NASCAR is looking at Days of Thunder 2, and
yeah.
Tom Cruise is doing Tom Cruise stuff. I'm all for it, man.
Yep.
But in NASCAR, we are so in a bubble of ourselves that we just can't even let new fans. We are so unwelcoming, and that's not just a Mexico City thing.
No,
that's a countrywide thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
I heard people bitched on X last weekend at Michigan because it was disrespectful that they had the Canadian national anthem during the race. Because Prime televised it, and
we do it every year my whole life.
But the other networks never televised it, so these people didn't realize it. It's like, don't be so ignorant. Canadians, there's more Canadians at that race than Americans. It's been a huge Canadian race, and they always do the Canadian anthem there.
I have a buddy who lives in Indiana, but he's born and raised in Windsor.
Okay.
And moved to Michigan. I actually went to high school here, but that's how I knew him. Anyway. He was going to Windsor to visit family last week, right after MIS. And he messaged me from the border and he goes, I came at the wrong time. He goes, there are motorhomes and everybody's trying to get back from the racetrack. They're all coming home. And I was like, I said, there's really good Canadian representation at MIS. And we've always been welcoming to our Canadian friends.
Dude, we used to camp with Canadians down there, and it was so much fun. We'd all be saying A by the end of the week. It was
my
great.
God, dude.
I mean, I have an affection for Canadians, being a hockey fan and working with the Canadian Hockey League. But
Eric, guess what? Everybody in America's had an affection for Canadian fans until very recently.
Yeah, that's right.
I won't go into that any further.
Right.
We should be. They're like the friendliest neighbors you could ever ask for.
Yeah.
They're most of the time they're nice people. So
yeah,
that's not a politics thing. That's my experience. Canadians are just Canadian people are just nice people. And listen, man, I have no desire to go anywhere near Mexico or Mexico City. I am not a traveling type of person.
Right. Same.
And I feel probably the same way about Mexico City that I do Detroit, and I've frequented Detroit.
Right.
Quite a bit. Like Detroit drives me crazy. I don't want to go to any big city. I like where I live right here. Like I like my,
I will admit that I
like my remoteness.
I think the US has a lot of great places to see, and I don't have a desire to go to another, country, especially a country that speaks a different language than mine, because I don't want to be lost in knowing what's going on. But it's not a I'm better than you type of thing. It's not that. It's just that there's just so much to see here that I don't really have a reason to. I don't have a desire to.
Yeah, you may not like it. Like I don't like going to Detroit. Heck, I don't like going to Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
That's not my cup of tea, and I hate those places. I don't think very highly of them. But just because people are from a different place and they have a different culture doesn't
right.
It doesn't make them bad people or it doesn't make them a bad investment, to visit. I had really people boycotting this race. I don't understand it. If you like NASCAR racing, it's just a road course. We're just putting a road course in, and you're complaining that we don't have Richmond anymore. Okay.
Right.
Like Richmond sucks.
Yeah. Everybody
right
wants
now.
Richmond to go away.
We don't need 2 Richmond dates right now. It's not good.
No.
So could it have been done a lot better? And could there have been a lot of things that changed? Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's no doubt about that, but I mean, it's not the worst thing we've ever done. It's just another place to race.
Yeah.
Let's go race.
Yeah.
Racers want to race. I want to see racing. So what? Mexico City sounds good to me.
Well, and James, I think you and I talked about it, and I talked with others this weekend or last weekend too at MIS. Like, let me just say this to the fans that don't go to the track, who are not inside the industry at all. if you watch social media and read about NASCAR from there, you would get this impression that things are terrible right now.
Yes. Oh,
and
that's a lot
it's
of
a
things.
big mess. And NASCAR is on a freaking upswing. Things are so positive at the track. Things have improved so much at the track. There's big crowds. There's good activation. People are in a good mood. People are happy with we got new sponsors. We got new manufacturers coming into the sport. People want to be a part of NASCAR right now.
We found a nice niche that we haven't had in a while.
So stop believing the crap you're seeing on social media because it's not the truth. It's a bunch of couch, they're couch racers, as, Freddie Kraft and Brett Griffin, their company Couch Racer. That's what they are. Or DARFs, as they like to call them. They don't know what they're talking about. They're the Nick Brombergs of the world. They haven't stepped foot in a racetrack in maybe ever, but continue to talk bad about NASCAR every week. So, speaking of which, I didn't see what he had to say about Mexico City, but I'm sure it'll just piss me off.
Yeah.
Can't believe I even said his name on this podcast again. Well, anyway, there was my black flag. James, do you have a black flag this week?
I was going in the same same realm as you, but I was going more along the lines of I wanted to know. I guess I wanted to know more, and I don't want to. I want to be careful because I'm not trying to like pick a scab or anything like that, but the mixed, like, because you just nailed it. You're like, social media is not real, which I fall victim to this all the time. But I want to know a little bit more about what the heck was going on down there. Like, we heard such a mix of different things.
Yeah, there were a lot of positives and a lot of negatives.
A lot of positives, a lot of negatives at the same time. And I'm like, okay, what's the real truth? Was the media machine like given like this deluxe luxury thing that maybe nobody else had access to?
Maybe it was just a matter of you stay in your bubble and you're happy, you leave your bubble, you're not.
It doesn't sound like that was the case, but I guess I was just kind of feeling like, am I missing, like, my black flag was really like, am I missing something? Like, am I not paying attention to the right places?
Followed Jordan and Jeff this week, you would think that it was the most amazing thing ever.
They had the best time of their lives. And I'm like, but that's not what so many other people are saying. What am I missing from this? So, I phrased it to you. I messaged you earlier in the week. I'm like, is there propaganda going on here? Like, is like the NASCAR industry, like, are the people, on the NASCAR side staying in like these real hellholes, and Jeff and Jordan are up in the Ritz? Like
you said, like there's stuff like this everywhere. So
everywhere.
I mean, Gateway, St. Louis is not a good city, and that's and we've got other races in big cities. Chicago, everybody was scared to go to Chicago.
You and I were both told at one time, like before the Cup Series signed on to go to Gateway, like that place is in really bad shape. Yeah. And I'm like, and it sounds like from what Jeff and Jordan have said recently in past years at Gateway, it is in pretty bad shape still. Yeah. So I think it's just one of those things, James, that it all depends on your experience and who you're with and whether you're in the bubble or out of the bubble. And everybody can make a decision that takes them down a wrong turn that gives them a bad experience. But if you're already against it to begin with, then you're going to notice every little problem and you're going to tweet about it. And there you go. So see, and that's, you know what, that is such a great way to say it, because I've experienced this in my own life, where if I go to Detroit by myself and I'm trying to figure out my way around Detroit, I get so frustrated and I get angry and I get like, am I going in a really bad area? Mm-hmm. But if I go with my wife's uncle lives not too far from there and knows the city like the back of his hand. He just can get us anywhere and gets us all the cool places. If I stick with Uncle Frank, I have the best time when I'm down there because he's in there. He knows it better than anybody. Yeah. And he'll show us to all these great places to eat and all these places where you have so much fun. Like, I went to an Eric Church concert and just called him one time and he said, dude, I will meet you. I will show you where the best brewery is. I will show you where the best food is. You guys don't have to go too far. And he actually came down and showed me like the best time I've ever had. And I'm like, I hate this place, but this was actually a lot of fun. So you nailed it with your comment right there, because that's exactly how I have experienced these things in the past too.
It's all about the attitude.
It is, and all about who you know too, but
Yep.
being somebody who's got experience, I
Yep.
think is super valuable. So good call there.
How about checkered flags this week, James?
Oh man, I was gonna, I kind of talked about it already. I was gonna give my checkered flag to to Catherine Legg
Okay, good one.
because of what we talked about earlier. She showed up at the racetrack on a road course and knew what she was doing, and everybody who's gave her a ton of crap for her past performances can eat it.
There you go.
She did good. That was my checkered flag this week.
Good way to put it. Mine's not NASCAR related, but I stumbled across today, and I've stumbled across them before, and they're so good. The World of Outlaws on their social media does this thing where they take a drone and they put it way up above the track,
Oh yeah.
and it's
Yep.
just the drone doesn't move. It's just a image of the track, and it's the main event from the sky with the announcer in the background. And you watch the cars and the slide jobs and stuff that they do around this track. You see the entire field. You see the whole track. If you haven't seen it, go to their Instagram, World of Outlaws, and check it out. World of Outlaws Sprint Cars. I don't know if they have a separate one for their late models, but it is so damn cool, and it's just mesmerizing. I just sit there and watch it. It's just so impressive. I mean, the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars, any of the sprint cars, especially the big 410s,
Yep.
are so impressive as it is. But to watch them from the sky like that and see it, it looks like you're watching a video game. It's
Yeah.
just amazing what these guys do, and it's cool to hear the announcer and you try to pick out the battles where they're happening and stuff. It's just damn awesome. So
Yeah.
great work by the World of Outlaws and their social media team.
Outlaws
putting
is
that out
always
there.
fun, man.
Yeah.
Outlaws and High Limit also does really
Yeah.
good stuff.
I love High Limit, but I'm sorry, the World of Outlaws will always be the OG.
Oh,
for me.
yeah. I mean, that's High Limit's a nice show, and they do they have a nice product, but
Yep.
yeah, World of Outlaws. Speaking of camera angles, you cued me on to one more thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
IndyCar. Now I didn't watch the race, but I've seen the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Newgarden. They had the best part about this though is they had the video package of him before they cut back to the racetrack.
Yeah,
and he's
right?
already upside down. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just a ridiculous thing.
That
happened.
That crash, if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. Go look for it. That
had nowhere to
crash
go.
again makes me question why we don't have a catch fence on the inside of the track on pit wall, because that car almost ended up on pit road.
Yep.
I mean, it was close. And would it have gone onto pit road and hit anybody? Probably not, because nobody was pitting at that time. But if somebody was,
Well, I've been saying this about the tire issue that we've been having
Yeah.
since the next gen car has come along. We've got these tires flying off all the time, and I'm like, you know what? There's like no pit wall on some of these places.
yep.
It freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. So that crash was scary. That crash
it
is
was crazy
another
scary,
in the
yeah.
long line of examples of why the aero screen and the halo in IndyCar and Formula One has been such an innovation, because Joseph Newgarden he probably would have been all right looking at the way the car hit, but man, you're risking slamming your head against a wall like that. That's
Yep.
pretty damn scary.
Or
So,
dragging across the track.
yeah. So props to IndyCar and Formula One and all the open wheel series for putting that halo in, at least in the aero screen. And that aero screen freaking held up. Like, they were so worried about those aero screens breaking. That aero screen held up, dragging across the track like that.
Yep.
So
Did a good job for him, because that was just a weird wreck. He had nowhere to go. It was just a whole thing.
that race just once again proves why IndyCar needs to be on ovals. That I didn't watch the race itself. I watched the start and then I watched the highlights.
and stuff, yeah.
But damn, they're so good on ovals. So
Yeah.
good, especially now that they've got big fields again. They need to be on ovals.
Yep.
And maybe those ovals shouldn't be Texas Motor Speedway and these big high bank tracks, but there's ovals around that they can run on that, I don't know, man. I mean,
Oh, man.
you could take them back to Richmond. You could run them somewhere like that. I mean, you
And
could
the week of
run them
MIS.
in New Hampshire.
The week of MIS, there was a lot of photos going around of,
Yeah.
of all the highlights from the Indy cars. I'm like, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him come back, but I remember what that was at the end.
Yeah.
That was some of the sketchiest stuff you've ever seen. So,
Yep. Yeah.
but Pocono is a great place for IndyCar.
Yeah, Pocono, man. They've hurt some people there though.
But yeah, it was one of them was, I understand. But I mean, it's just like Indianapolis.
Yeah.
You know, you can get hurt in Indianapolis. the same.
Pocono is tough because every corner is more than a right angle, or at least a right angle, if not more. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
such bad angles to hit. I mean,
Again,
even
it's,
with NASCAR, the hits in turn
yeah.
one are awful.
Again, it's Indianapolis, and do you want to do Indianapolis once, or you want to have it a couple of times? Is really what that is.
Right. Speaking of Pocono, we're going to Pocono this weekend. Well, we're not.
Yes.
But NASCAR is.
Yep.
All 3 series in action this weekend. The NASCAR Crash and Truck Series kicks things off on Friday. I'm assuming Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Fox Sports 1 is the Miller Tech Battery 200. The NASCAR Xfinity Series has the Pocono Mountains 250, 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday on the CW. And the Cup Series has the Great American Gateway 400, Sunday 2 p.m. on Prime. The last race on Prime, James, for the season. Pretty sad that's coming to an end already.
And we got to go to TNT, which I'm a little, I don't know.
I'm skeptical. I mean, we got the same booth, so that's good.
Yep.
And then the alternate broadcast is going to be interesting, although it's not up my alley, the whole betting thing and all that stuff that Larry McReynolds is going to be doing. But it's cool to have an alternate broadcast. We've never had that with NASCAR before. So,
yeah, something I've always actually, one of the things, it was an idea I had a long time ago where I'm like, wonder if Eric and I could do a decent like alternate broadcast and what that would sound like.
Yeah.
It's just an idea. That's
fun.
That's out there, but yeah.
So I get the first pick this weekend, James, and I'm going to make it really easy. I'm going to say the guy who got the week of rest is going to come out and win at a track that he's really good at, and I'm going to go with Denny Hamlin as my pick.
All right. I like it. This is not, I guess it's not much of a reach. I'm going to say Christopher Bell.
I don't think Christopher Bell's a reach anywhere.
Yeah, probably not. But he's coming off a really good showing at Mexico City. So I think Christopher, and he's got a good history here.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him today, but he was good in both races.
He was. I know he had an issue in the Xfinity Series race, but good, fast. Bubba Wallace also good here. Eric Jones is good here, and somebody else who's really good here who needs a run really bad. Did you know he's 32nd in points? Brad Keselowski.
Wow. I knew he's way back there. I knew he was outside the top 30.
Way down. He's behind SVG now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. So
William Byron has the best average finish here.
He does over the last couple of starts. He's kind of backed off on the next gen car though. He doesn't have the recent numbers, I would say.
Yep.
But yeah, very good here. Martin Truex Jr. is one of the best here, but he's obviously not racing.
Right.
But he still shows up everywhere on these statistics when you're looking up guys who are really good. Guys who are not very good, just to put that out there, Ross Chastain, he has horrible numbers here.
I mean, Denny Hamlin's partially responsible for that.
Yep, Noah Gregson's on that list. Kyle Busch, over the last 3 starts, only has earned 22 points and has an average finish of 30. So maybe don't put Kyle Busch on your team. We've never done the who's bad here numbers before, but
that's good. Maybe we need to bring that
I
back.
saw those guys at the bottom of the list, and I was like, holy crap. Like Ross, Kyle Busch, those guys are usually pretty stout, at least everywhere, even Kyle. But
right.
Yeah, that kind of stuck out to me for this track.
There you go. Fantasy League. How about Fantasy League, James?
Oh, the Fantasy League. I thought I was having a problem because obviously, like, I was traveling and I was like, oh man, if I screw up my season because I'm traveling, I'm going to be really mad. But give me just a second here. I'm buffering. The winner was the one person I can't lose to right now, and that was Smoking Grill Racing. He got out of there with 215 points. Green Eggs and Hamlin right on his heels, 210, and I was third at 202. Eric, you were 10th.
Yeah. Yep.
I even told you I was traveling, and you had a chance to beat me.
Yeah, I ended up watching delayed, but it didn't matter because I had Kyle Busch in my roster, so I saw that he wrecked out early enough to pull him and put him on the bench.
And that was it.
Yeah, and
I had AJ in that same wreck, so I just left AJ right there, and he wasn't too bad after that, but it wasn't great.
See, I had Shane like everybody else did, so I'm sure everybody had Shane.
Yeah, I almost. You know what's funny is when I heard he wasn't feeling well, I thought about benching him.
I know. Well, I checked right before the race started. I'm like, if he's not going to start, I'm pulling him.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, and I'm like, you know what? And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Don't outsmart yourself. Everybody else has him. Just keep him in there.
And when guys are sick or facing adversity, that's when they go out and win.
Yeah, I know.
Just how it works.
So that's why I kept him in there. But so overall standings, it's the same top 3, just a little bit different order. Smoking Grill Racing He extends his lead just a little over 100 now. I am second. Green Eggs and Hamlin is third. Eric is eighth.
Yeah, fantasy sucks.
It does. It's the worst. I know. Drives me crazy every week. Every stinking week.
Well, James, where can people hit you up on social media if they want to reach out to you this week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on X, not Twitter. James, Jesus, it's 2025. Come on, man. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else. So wherever you found us today, subscribe for new episodes each and every week. Pocono Raceway this weekend, all 3 series in action. We'll be back next week to break it all down. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.